it's anyone. Um, so here is here's the app. And so we'll kind of just start with how data gets collected. And then I'll move into how we use it to drive school-wide decisions. But let's just kind of live here for now. So this is the app. Yes.
Did you hit the record button?
Yes.
Okay, because it didn't look like it was. Okay.
Yeah. I can, it's not this button, but it's a different button. But I'm going to, now that you made me nervous about, oh, no, I am recording. Okay. Okay. So here is my 6th grade ELA section 1. You guys can see that, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I see each student's merit or demerit count in the top left corner. I can also, if I wanted to do school economy systems, like school dollars, I can also do that here. So to show you what we can log in Kickboard, if I click on Cedric's name, this is the school's behavior matrix. So I'm assuming you guys have some form of a matrix for behaviors that you're choosing to focus on. And then this would also include corrective behaviors, right? So here you can see like disrespect, but also leadership, pride, on task. And I can click one of those behaviors, I can add a note, and then I can also just click add behavior. And so each one of those behaviors either has a positive or negative point value or is just neutral. So again, click that, click add behavior. And so I was a 7th and 8th grade teacher that used Kickboard in 2 different schools. And so typically the way that I found this to be most effective was like, as you set an expectation in your class, you're immediately positively narrating. For me, like as kids were coming into the classroom, it was like, Cedric, Leslie, great job coming in, getting started on the do now. Reginald and Sylvan have their homework on the right side of the desk. Alice and Ren, great job getting started. And then adding those behaviors. So that's kind of just to show you like how quickly those behaviors can be logged. That gives me this information. So I'm able to come to Cedric's profile, and there's a couple different things here. So first is the positivity ratio. And this shows me the number of positive interactions to the number of corrective interactions from year to month to week. So I can see how that's trending. It's also a different metric that's not just looking at suspensions or referrals or what we call measures of compliance, right? It's able to see what does the student's day really look like and what does an interaction with his teachers look like. And then down here, we have now transparency into every single part of a student's day because every teacher is on the same page, right? So like with like a system like Class Dojo, everybody kind of exists in islands. Here, every single teacher is tracking the exact same thing, and you're able to see what has already happened in a student's day when they set foot in your classroom.
Yeah, as I would say, just Dojo can't do that, and that was where I was trying to figure out the difference.
Yeah, and here's the other difference too, is so now that you are doing that, then you can also build your entire like consequence ladder and your entire incentive system here, since every teacher is participating in that. So like here you can see the school has said, all right, if a student drops below 3 or has 3 or more negative behaviors, we want that student flagged for the counselor watch list. So that student's going to get put into a group called counselor watch list. But conversely, like if a student hits 5 merits for the day, they might get put into the shout out board. Or if a student hits 40 for the semester, they might be field trip eligible. So a little flag will appear next to a student's name when they hit whatever one of those like if then statements that you guys set. But they'll also be here in what we call smart groups. So you can come and see like your entire field trip list. You can see your entire lunch distinction list. And what I also love about this is that you can also tie this to text messages when a student gets put into one of those groups. So you can have it automatically send a text message to an administrator. Which for me, like a lot of times, like when I'm working with school, there's always that like question of like teacher buy-in. And how are we going to get teachers to use this? And I think that's been a big selling point is like this is saving teachers a step of having to like close that communication loop. So those are kind of the main highlights of the app. What I'll get into next is how we drive school-wide decisions, but questions here.
So I know our principal is not wanting us to take away things that kids earn. So I know you can set things to, you know, positive, neutral, or negative. Is there a way to just, you know, what is technically a negative behavior set as neutral, but it would still, you know, flag them, or can you go in and like override it? So you're saying, you know, these students had the following negative behaviors, but it doesn't affect their points, but we still want them to, you know, be on the counselor watch list.
Yeah, great. You kind of normally have to kind of like walk people through that stuff, but you kind of already thought through it. Yeah. So basically, so basically you would just not have it take away those points, but it would still exist like in our system as a negative behavior, because then you'll also get that data around positivity ratio.
Yeah,
so then
that's actually, we don't like to take away something that they earn.
Right. Yep. So you'll be able to still get the metric of positivity ratio, and then also still use the system as like as a place for your consequence ladder.
And it'll still flag even if there's no negative points.
Exactly. You would just say like, okay, if a student has 4 or more negatives, then this consequence will occur.
Great. That's awesome.
The classes, is there a way that we can see it to see like collectively how many points they have?
Yes. Yeah. So we'll I'll show you the data analysis piece in just a second, and you'll be able to see that information. And
Question, one question about the neutral group of students. Are those the students that come in and do their thing as directed the first time and they just come in quietly, do their work? They don't get, well, I guess they get the positive behavior, but who is in the neutral column? I know it's a stupid question.
I think that's up to us.
yeah, I could only hear like I couldn't hear you too well, but it sounded like you were kind of like asking about like the neutral behaviors. Yeah. So I mean, honestly, like I think very few schools use those neutral behaviors, and what they normally use those neutral behaviors for is like homework. Like, did the student turn in all their homework, which might not be like a merit, but is data that they want to collect. What do you guys use for your student information system?
Our school.
Okay, cool. So you guys would have 2 options too. So like up here you see 6th grade ELA section 1. You have 2 ways of getting like your rosters and everything set up in Kickboard. And I'll circle back to this at the end, but there's one way where you can just do what's called an SIS sync. So we would just sync to PowerSchool and every night pull this information into Kickboard. Or you guys can just manually upload a CSV. I'll talk about that a little bit more, but
Do you need district approval to do that?
what's that?
Do you need district approval to sync with our power school?
It depends. Some districts, and I'm trying to think. You guys are in Trenton, right?
Yes.
I'm trying to think if we have worked with a public school in Trenton. I'm not totally sure, so I'll have to circle back on that one. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Okay, let's go into the data analysis piece next.
Quick question.
Yeah.
The sync features and all the support that we're receiving in our school, is that an additional cost? Or
Yes,
is that
I'm sorry. Yep, that was the other part. I meant to say that. Yep, so that'll be an extra $1.50 per student. And so basically the cost is $8.50 per student. And then it's $1,000 just baseline cost. Was that more or less than you guys were thinking?
That's a lot more.
Someone quoted
650 a student.
650 students to our principal.
How many students do you guys have?
We're gonna have 980 next year.
Okay, then yeah, we could, yeah, basically you guys would almost qualify for a district discount. We would probably be looking more at like $7.50, not 650, but yeah, you guys would fall around the 750 mark. Okay, do we want to jump into, so this is the data analysis feature. And so this is how we're able to analyze all that data that we were just looking at. So here we're able to see 3 buckets of info. So we have staff, students, interactions. Here we can see our average number of interactions, our average positivity ratio, and our average number of merits and demerits. So here I can quickly organize like students with the lowest positivity ratio, students with the highest number of merits. I can see all of that information here. I can also see how this has trended over time. So I can come here, look at individual students. This is just for this week. I can see like over the entire school year, that's each student positivity ratio. I could also see average number of merits and demerits collectively. And then here's where it starts to get really beneficial because I can start to use this to fuel how I'm developing my teachers, right? I can see here like Miss Lewis has the lowest positivity ratio and I have the highest positivity ratio. So when we're working together, like what are some useful strategies that we can add to teacher tool belts based on this information? Or like if we're diving into data, like what can we find to help Ms. Lewis with classroom management? And again, I can look at that data over time as well. And then lastly is interaction. So I can see highest, whatever is the most common behavior across our school. And I can also see how that trends over time as well. Okay. And the last thing I'll show you guys, did you guys have any questions about the data analysis?
Well, just because I foresee some problems, if we wanted to, could we turn off the teacher data?
Well, I mean, so here's the thing, like that is, like when I was teaching, I had no idea that existed until our school rolled it out to us. You can't hide it, but you can just, until you're ready to roll that out with teachers, you can just not show them. Are there any other questions about the data analysis piece?
No, that's pretty straightforward.
Okay. So this is the last piece I'll show you guys, and I always just like harp on this because my background was in SPED and we never had a good way to track progress on intervention plans.
Okay.
We have 2 camps. You can come down.
Sorry, we'll turn up your volume. Just keep talking.
Okay.
That is a program for students in 6th to 9th grade, where you get to do a lot of high energy projects, a lot of science projects.
We can hear you well. Just keep talking.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. I didn't know if you guys could hear me or not. So this is a way to progress monitor behavior intervention plans. And the way that this works is you input a student's target behaviors from their behavior intervention plan, and then you input a student's alternate behaviors. And so here, what can happen is basically you're not asking your gen ed teachers to do any extra work. So you are tracking these behaviors, which are just already tracked for all students. Use the student's intervention. So we have an intervention library that you can choose from. And then down here, every single day, based on those above, you'll see these pieces. These are the points that a student is getting based on those target and alternate behaviors. And so here's our growth goal. Here is like the line of best fit based on that daily behavior activity. And so for me, like what would always happen is I would get to the end of the behavior intervention plan and be like, oh, like whoops, he got 16 more referrals than he did last semester. Like seems like this intervention plan didn't work. And there was no intervention before that took place. So here you're able to see, like on October 2nd, I would have been like, oh, okay, like looks like we're off track. Let's see what we can do with these check-in and check-outs, or see if we like need to do anything else to add some supports in this intervention plan. Down here, I'm able to see how he spent time across interventions. And then down here, I'm also able to see a log that's been kept for those interventions as well.
So, Will, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So we can create through the app a check-in, check-out system.
Okay, wait, what was your question? I just heard check-in, check-out.
Like there's a part, the app can act as a check-in, check-out system for the student. Like if I have a specific student I want to do tier 2 with.
Yeah, so like you would come here and I'll show you what it looks like to log that information.
Okay. But that's something like, that's something that like the teacher can have.
It's important that all students go to their second block class and are with their teachers.
Sorry, I missed that question.
All right, can you hear me, Will?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm saying there's like, in the app or the dashboard or whatever, there's a like, you can create a specific check-in, check-out system for a specific student. So like if we want, so instead of doing like a piece of paper passport the students carry, we could use an app that each teacher could share, like a check-in, like there's a shared specific dashboard for tier 2 intervention for a specific student that each teacher could add to.
Yeah, exactly. So like on my screen, you can see this, like Kevin has this pyramid next to his name. That's tier 2 or tier 3, or this, that just means the student has a behavior intervention plan. And
Okay.
so I can come here, intervention plan, check in, check out,
Okay.
minutes,
Great.
and then add,
Cool.
yeah, add the comment.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, guys, so those are kind of the highlights that I usually run through. The other piece is, and I'll just show you this, but I want to respect your time. This is the PD piece. And I just show this because I think this is really the piece that sets us apart, because a lot of times, like, we'll work with a school for a year and then they'll come back to us and be like, hey, like, we really had a tough time, like, norming behaviors across our classrooms. We really need help with that. And then we'll be able to do one of these sessions. So like these sessions are on-site full 6-hour working days that we do with schools. Most of them are targeted towards like a school culture team like yourselves, or if they have this star next to them, this is for whole staff. But as you can see, like most of these sessions are targeted towards like systems planning for an entire school with school leadership.
But, okay, can you repeat, you said most of these are on site, or do you mean online?
Yeah, sorry, all of these are on site. All of
So
these.
we would have to travel somewhere to get the PD, or does your company provide the PD?
Yeah, so okay, so for onboarding, basically you guys will schedule a 90-minute onboarding call, and we do a train the trainer. So we'll help you set up your site. We give you homework like before that meeting, and then you come to us, we set up your site, and then give you like strategies to turnkey. And so that's covered in that $1,000 that I was talking about in the beginning. But if you want to do like additional training, either like with your school leadership team, or if you want us to turnkey it to your staff, those are PD sessions that we can do for an additional cost. Those are $3,500 for a full working day.
But if like, let's say for example, I wanted to turnkey it to the staff, can I just go online and do the training myself?
Yeah, yep. So that's what's covered in that $1,000 annual managed services. Yeah, and our support team is awesome. They are all former teachers, so they're great with the tech, but they're also just like really good thought partners of like, hey, like we want to do lunch detention, but right now too many kids are getting flagged for it. Like, what are some solutions?
Okay, now I'm thinking ahead. If we, because the price is so high for like our budget and they're cutting everything. If we wanted to pay for it out of like 2 different accounts, would that be possible? Like if
Yeah.
the sped covered part of it, and then our school budget covered the other part, would that be like, how would that?
Yeah, that would be fine, and we can be flexible on invoicing. The other thing that I was going to say is, like, if this is something that you guys know that you want to do, then we can do a 2-year contract, which is a 10% discount, and a 3-year contract is a 15% discount.
So 2-year contract is 10% discount.
Yeah, 10% discount, and a 3-year contract is a 15% discount. And then you still just pay like each year. It just helps us with budgeting.
Oh, okay. So it's not like we have to pay up front for the
No.
2 per year.
Yeah.
Still pay each year. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, and so how many students did you guys say you had?
Approximately 980, and we have probably like 94, 95 staff.
Okay. So let me give you a quick estimate. Okay, so with the SIS sync and 980 students, it'd be 9,820. That's at $7.50 per student.
Up to 7, including the sync.
Yeah, so that would be including the Power School sync.
So including the Power School. And you said that syncs every night?
That sync, yeah, syncs every night at midnight. And so if you guys did like the 3-year contract, it would be 8,347.
Okay, do you, I don't know if you can give us any examples of other schools that have used it, that have similar demographics to our school?
Yeah, what are your student demographics?
We're urban district. We have the middle school that houses a high ELL population and also SPED.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so for us, I would say, I think right now 97% of our schools are majority Title I funded schools. So I would say that that's the majority of our customer base. I'm trying to think of.
Have any examples of like secondary or middle school that has our student size?
Yeah, I can send you guys a case study, and I'll send the name of the school is Ron Brown Preparatory. They're in DC. Yeah, they're in DC, and the case study is highlighting restorative practices. So it'll be a little bit different for them, like where you guys are at with PBIS. But I think we'll kind of give you a good, clear picture of like the work that we're doing with students and like schools with your demographics.
Okay, and that was a middle school you said, or a high school?
High school.
High school. Now, can you show me the piece that the students would see?
Yeah.
Is that what you showed us in the beginning? It's just like black and white, and because some of the classes are used to using something similar to Class Dojo, where it's more colorful.
Right. So this is basically what a student will see when they log into the what we call the family portal. So they will see this information right here, like any behaviors that have been logged and any consequences that have been earned.
So like each individual student will have their own account that they log into.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And students and families will have the same login. So they'll log in and be able to see the same information. And then what we're rolling out this year as well is being able to do two-way messaging. So we'll be able to do two-way messaging with families, from families to teacher.
Okay, and what types of supports do you offer for like Spanish speaking students?
That's something that
We have such
we,
a high population that everything here has to be bilingual.
yeah, that, and just to be transparent, like that's something we are trying to do better. But here, there's not any options to automatically translate this information.
But I mean, if we're the ones who are inputting our behavior matrix, we can put it in there in Spanish and in English.
Yeah, so you could, yeah, I think that's a workaround that I've seen schools do. So basically you can input like kindness / whatever that the equivalent of that is in Spanish.
Okay, so when you click on something, does it give you like more of a description? Because we were planning on doing something that's similar to a rubric.
To what?
For example, if you click on kindness, is there a place within the app that they can get the description, like of the expectation?
No, I mean, typically this is like working under the assumption that you guys have like normed on what these behaviors look like and like have behavior matrices like that you're working off of at the school.
We would already just input our behavior.
Yeah, and what I've seen be like most effective is just like schools having that information posted around the school of like, okay, respect, here's like 5 examples of respect, what respect might look like in the classroom. And here's like 5 of what it might look like in the hallway.
And then,
sorry, go ahead.
let's say when we have those options to view, like for example, if only the climate and culture team wanted to view like the positivity and all that stuff, is there like, do we have multiple accounts that are able to sign in that way, or is it only like one person or 2 people that have a different type of account?
You can have as many people as you want have admin access. Yeah, and so initially, like, you probably don't want to have like 10 or 15 people with admin access, but then after that, all you have to do is just either call or email the support team and be like, hey, I'm an admin and I would like to add this person to the admin list.
To add it, okay. I don't know if there's anything else. When you check where it said the merits, and the demerits, if they click on that, what does that look like for the student?
Where do you mean?
Before you had showed us the other screen that showed like the different types of behaviors, like the neutrals or the negative, and I think one of them, it's like the merit and merits. I forgot what screen we view that from.
I'm not totally sure. Was it like in here?
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And what was your question?
No, I just wanted to know how to go back to that, see how.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's just for the individual student?
So no, this is school-wide. So like this is saying this week we've had 61 instances of strong leadership and group work.
All right. What screen was that? The interactions and categories?
This is in Kickboard Answers. So this is like under the data analysis tool. And you can also, yeah, again, this is like one of those that you can come and you can see like how each one of these is changing over time. You can see my like physical behaviors. I can see like bank purchases, using time wisely.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
Okay.
And so for you guys, do you have a timeline on when you're trying to make a decision?
We have to talk it over with the principal and see if she's okay with that price. And then I'm also going to contact the SPED director and see if there's, possibility that they can help us with that as well. So
Okay.
I would say within the next few days.
Cool. So I'm gonna send you this recording, and the other thing I'm gonna send you 2 case studies. One is a turnaround school that's in Salem, Massachusetts. They have a really high population of ELL, and are doing PBIS, but they're elementary. And then I'll send you that Ron Brown case study that is high school. And
Is there any place in there for parents to participate?
so the extent of that will be like the 2-way messaging feature.
And that is available right now, or you said it was something you were working on?
Yeah, so the timeline for that is before winter break so it'll be done this calendar year. We can't promise that it'll be ready to go at the beginning of the school year, but honestly, most schools that are just rolling out Kickboard don't want to have that feature ready to go for parents because they need some time to like norm on it for the first month or 2.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty comfortable that it's like when schools are ready for that are rolling out this year, that it'll be ready.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Anything else you guys need from me? Anything else that would be helpful for me to follow up with?
No, I guess we'll follow up with the email after the rest of the team gets a chance to look at it.
Okay, cool. And I'll send you a quote as well. And I'll just put what those discounts would be on there. And, if budget is the issue that keeps you guys from moving forward, then come back and talk to me and I'll see if I can talk to my CEO and if there's any other discounts that we can find.
But yeah, really, this is what we really need with all the staff turnaround. We just need something that we can all look in, and no matter who does it, it's easy for the teachers to use, it's easy for us to manage.
Perfect. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I will follow up with that information before the end of the day today.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you too.
All right. Bye.